the state redevelopment authority and to the county. So we try to tie in some links so people have avenues of funding to live. So Tiff and I get together.
And there might be something on there that we could do when it's like a postcard, because almost every 2 weeks when I get my mail, there's a postcard with auctions on it or so forth of property. We might be able to do a team with Stockton College or possibly Galena Care or so forth, or another business in town that might want to piggyback that as advertisement to maybe do some of the cost of the postage, because they could use that as advertised also, depending on who we're targeting to go out to the mailer on that. So we could look into that also.
Arch, does the League of Municipalities offer anything in the way of marketing if we had something we wanted them to post?
For a fee? Yeah, they do have it on their site.
I don't know, Jim, off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it and see and kind of go through there.
Right.
I think a lot of their referrals are into the state redevelopment authority and the connections into that.
Okay.
That is the part of DCA too, because they have a whole group up there too. So I'll double check that.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to go down to 9 introductions of ordinances, and I'm going to step off the dais for the first one, please.
Ordinance number 1874 of 2013, an ordinance amending Chapter 309 towing companies, Section 309-9 insurance and indemnity of the Galloway Township Code. I believe this was, you were reducing the amount of insurance from $2 million to $1 million.
Correct.
So this is the first reading.
Yes.
So,
And plan to have a second reading and public hearing on July 23rd.
So, I'm sorry, just to be clear, we made some adjustments last meeting
Right.
on the gross vehicle weight.
Right.
Right, but
Was that just a simple adjustment on that resolution?
Yes.
So that's taken care
Yeah,
of?
that was taken care of, and that was approved with that change from 8,000 to 8,500 gross weight.
Right.
But the issue of the insurance was
separate
put off as a separate ordinance. Since that section wasn't even part of the original ordinance, and arguably would have been a substantive change.
Right.
So rather than trying to do it at the same time, it was being done separately.
Just for a real quick review for the public, we tried to compromise between the tow company operators and the public, and Councilman Gorman offered, came up with a suggestion that we could give them some relief by reducing their requirement for insurance from $2 million to $1 million, because the consensus was that nobody could remember a case that was over $1 million in damages. So why carry that? They can save money on their insurance premium. On the consumer side, if we rate the gross vehicle weight, the majority of tows, hopefully the majority of tows will be under the basic rate of 135 instead of the heavier weight of 210. So we tried to compromise both ways.
Jim, we had some testimony by a tow operator at the last meeting, and they mentioned the figure, I think, of $12,000 annually for insurance costs.
Yeah, I think it was 12 or 14. Yeah.
But I don't think that's $12,000 represents the difference between insuring himself at $1 million and insuring himself at $2 million.
No, but it's a significant discount to them. I mean, they're say some.
For a guy starting out,
Yeah.
Somebody trying to start a business, they won't have as many assets and they won't need as much coverage as somebody that has more equipment.
But this ordinance does not pertain to people trying to start a business. This ordinance pertains to people doing business with the municipality.
Right, but if they go into business and then come to the municipality to be licensed to do it, we just created another area for somebody to work in this township.
I understand that, Jim, but it seems odd to me that this ordinance was suggested by council and not endorsed by any of the tow companies that were here to talk about it. None of them even were asking for this. This is something that was dreamed up from behind this dais, which I think is, frankly, irresponsible.
I mean, you keep saying
to try
that
to
you want to be
tell
business
these
friendly,
people how to run their
and this
business.
is more business friendly, and we say no.
Well, those businesses expressed no concern really with regard to the fact that a couple of them suggested I might very well keep the $2 million in coverage anyways. We're probably only talking about a couple of thousand a year.
And
It
that's
is
their
hurricane
their
season.
choice. But
I believe the third hurricane just entered the Atlantic this past week.
But there again, that's their choice. We're not saying you can't have more. We're saying if you want to get started, you can get started with this.
Well, it's their choice if we
And-
pass this ordinance. Currently, it's the law.
That's correct. But there again, the guys in business are going to protect themselves because they have the assets to protect. Somebody starting out don't have.
Well, I don't think
as
it's
many
just the
assets.
business's assets that we need to protect. I think it's the residents' assets that are on the property of the tow company at the time that a hurricane might blow through, where the
This pertains to if a township police officer pulls over a car with invalid registration and uninsured driver, and that car has to be impounded and towed.
Correct.
The car goes on back of a flatbed. It falls off on the way somehow to the tow lot and hurts somebody, or God forbid kills somebody. The township is ultimately in that line of people who will be culpable for that.
And with that, the solicitor told us that our chances of being involved in that is very slim, very slim.
No, that's not a chance I'm willing to
Okay,
take.
the other
so.
professionals that were here that night stated that it would be very hard to go against municipality from a private operator.
And the one owner that was
On
on the
the-
way out the door said that we were on the right track.
See,
That
I
was the
think
point.
that you're missing the point. This is not private operators doing business in the township. This is people doing business for the municipality. So the only time this applies is when someone is doing work for the municipality.
Correct.
A police impounded vehicle, an automobile accident, the township's responsible for cleanup. This isn't getting towed from the ShopRite parking lot.
I understand
This is
that. We
something-
passed another ordinance for that. You can use anybody you want.
That's right.
This is for.
And they don't have that, and there's no threshold
This is
insurance
for an
there.
accident scene or a pullover, like you said.
I just think that,
So,
further exposing the township to liability is somewhat irresponsible.
I don't think we're exposing the township.
Well, this is the first reading, so
We have to,
we have to have a motion.
have a motion and pass it to first reading.
All right. Any other questions or comments from council on this? This is a first reading, so public participation will be on the next reading.
Correct.
I will make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Bassford, is that for Mr. Coppola?
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No, okay. Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Trout?
no.
Ms. Allman?
Yes.
And Mr. Purdy, of course, abstains. The second reading and public hearing will be scheduled for Tuesday, July 23rd.
Somebody want to get Don, where do you
For the
go?
public hearing, do you want to get some information on the insurance requirements of other towns? What they
That might be
require?
helpful.
Well, actually, didn't somebody say last week that the county required $1 million? And we were supposed to be trying to mirror the county's ordinance. We're actually doing that.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I think the county is
Right.
$1 million. We can find out what Hamilton
I mean,
County is.
there's a lot of policies the county has that I would like to mirror.
As an attorney, I'm always arguing generally more insurance the better.
Right.
But there's a question of what's reasonable.
And as you stated, you doubt that we'd ever get into a problem, and you've never seen a township come back on this, correct?
Unlikely,
have to-
but unlikely doesn't mean it can't happen.
Right.
The question is, again, is what's
Right.
reasonable.
Michael, Mr.
But I would say, I mean,
Purdy,
it's great to
Mayor
have.
Purdy returned to the dais. I think we should probably suspend this until the next meeting. And
I'll take a look and and check some other ordinances in other towns and just see what other ranges, are out there.
Very good.
1875-2013.
An ordinance of the Township of Galloway amending the Galloway Township Administrative Code, Chapter 73, Personnel Policies, classification of full-time employees. And I believe the definition, a white-collar employee who works a scheduled 35 hours per week will be classified as a full-time employee. And a blue-collar employee who works a scheduled 40 hours per week will be classified as a full-time employee.
I gave you a sheet with the original ordinance on there, so you can see what we're taking out in 73-3 is an employee who works 30 hours per week of scheduled work for 12 months of the year will be classified as a full-time employee. I think what I'm trying to do is bring this forward under the best practices, and what it would create is anyone working for the township would have to be a full-time 35 or 40-hour employee to receive health care benefits. Okay, the second part of this change is in 73-7, and we're taking out the underlying part under A, the township shall pay all health insurance premium costs for all full-time employees. Basically, we're changing that. The language will be the township should pay health care insurance premium costs for all full-time employees in accordance with state statute and with and collective bargaining units. So that language was not in there before, so this language was actually out of date. So we're correcting that. But I think the biggest thing that this ordinance does is it only authorizes health care for full-time employees.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Motion, move.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bastard is absent. Mr. Coppola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Ullman? Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
Again, the second reading of public hearing will be scheduled for Tuesday, July 23rd.
There's a compatible resolution with this for this evening, 202-13. What this does is this puts the notice to the state health benefit system that we're changing from, we had established it initially at 25, and we'll change it to the 35-hour with them. We did have employees working under 35 hours that were receiving health care benefits. They have since terminated employment with the township. This will affect nobody presently. So it just gets everything corrected and sets the standard from now on.
Arch, is this agenda the latest and greatest that we're looking at? I mean, I know we had an email came out from Di about updating. Is that have anything on that for dealing with Tiffany?
That's 206.
And do we want to talk about that? We just want to cut it out instead of...
Well, when we get to resolutions, we can pull that off of the consent for discussion.
Okay. I didn't know if you want to talk about it before. Okay. Payment of the bills.
Okay, payment 198-13, payment of bills in the amount of $943,286.53. Mr. Mitchell, you ready?
Questions or comments from the public? Payment of bills.
Tom Mitchell, Bucksland Road. Arch, page 3, rodeo tractor supplies. New mower,
Two new mowers.
2 new mowers.
These are both Z mowers. Replacement.
Do we put that out for bid?
No, this is under the bid threshold.
Okay. Because
So we-
rodeo tractor is high.
Well, we got quotes and
I
boards.
bought equipment from them and, oh man.
Maybe just don't know how to get the best price. No, this is 2 mowers, and these are, what has happened, our Z mowers were, the Z mower was a 0 turn, you know,
Yeah,
they sit
yeah,
on.
yeah.
And they were, hadn't been maintained previously and were getting pretty bad shape. Kevin, when was the last time that we replaced the Z mower? Alright, so they were getting beaten, we needed to get these moving because they were down a lot of time.
I've used, on Route 50 going towards Ocean City, a Kubota dealer on Route 50 there, and he's cut the prices on all the equipment I bought. I mean, better than rodeo. Rodeo is jacked me, and I refuse to deal with them.
Alright, I'll definitely look at that in the future, I mean, yeah.
Okay,
We did get 3 quotes for that.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Anybody else from the public with questions or comments of paying the bills? Seeing none, anybody from council, questions or comments of paying the bills? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to pay the bill.
Second. Roll call?
Mr. Bastard is absent. Mr. Coppola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Ullman?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
199-13, authorized council to go into closed session, will not be used this evening.
We anticipated having some further discussions on some litigation this evening. Mr. Fitzgerald hasn't been able to coordinate all of the attorneys getting together prior to us doing it, so there's always a need to go to executive
Kind
on
of like
it.
the old thing about herding cats, trying to get the 3 other attorneys all on the same day and time. So we're only missing 1 right now, and so hopefully we'll get that scheduled next week.
Great.
We're looking at the meeting on before the next council meeting.
Okay. Good news. Great news. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Consent agenda includes items of business which are not controversial and do not require individual discussion. A motion approving the consent agenda is moved, seconded, and voted upon as one item by the Township Council. If any discussion is requested on the consent agenda item, it is removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Resolutions 200-13, authorized release of performance guarantee for Rockbrook Homes. 201-13, amend executive session, resolution 178-13. 202-13, amend resolution number 205-12. 203-13, amend resolution number 196-13. 204-13, renew alcohol beverage license for Oyster Creek Inn Incorporated. 205-13, authorize signature for Christian Johansson on any checks issued from Galloway Township. 206-13, authorized letter of support for Society Hill Affordable Housing Program. And we have two raffle licenses. One is Our Lady of Perpetual Health, and the other one is South Jersey Cancer Fund. I know that Mr. Coppola has to abstain from 2004-13. So you might want to take that one separately, and you might want to take 206-13, which is the letter for support for affordable housing. Ms. Tiffany's here.
Okay, everybody okay with that? Take 204. Well, we could do 204 and just you abstain from it.
Okay, so we'll do 204 first, okay.
Go ahead.
Could we, just for clarification, could we pull 213? I have one question about that.
Okay, so we're going to pull 200.
You mean one of the raffle licenses?
No,
No.
the performance guarantee for Rockbrook Homes.
Oh, okay, 200, all right. So you also want to pull 200 as well? Okay. All right, so 204, the renewal of the license, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
And Ms. Bassford is absent. Mr. Coppola has to abstain. Mr. Gorman.
Yes.
Mr. Mathewey.
Yes.
Mr. Terrell.
Yes.
Ms. Ullman.
Yes.
Mr. Purdy.
Yes.
Okay, now do you want to take 206 next? Because that's the affordable housing.
Yeah, we can do that. Tiffany?
Okay.
Just real quick, the end of last week, I got a voicemail, message from Ron Ruckenstein and Associates. We were working with him a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, on developing a market to affordable housing program in Galloway, part of spending our affordable housing trust fund dollars. He contacted me because there is a new round of funding available through the Sandy storm to help displaced people find affordable housing in Atlantic County and other counties as well. But the deadline for that is July 16th. So he thought it would be a good program to work with Society Hill, as we had planned on doing in the past. As you know, Society Hill has various units out there. 58 of those were originally affordable housing units. Now we're at least down to 49 units. We've lost 9 units, and we've been trying to purchase units there and put them back into the affordable housing loop, because we still have an affordable housing obligation. The town purchased 2 units and we're still carrying them. So this program would allow Ron Ruckenstein, working with the United Cerebral Palsy Association in Northern, Central, and Southern New Jersey, to take the units that we have and buy and purchase other units and get them get the affordable housing credits back for them and get people in there. This is just really a resolution of support so that the application can be submitted to the DCA. Details as to what would be required would be coming after the DCA would approve the program, as to what our actual commitment would be in terms of dollars from the trust fund, and how we would work with the attorneys to pull all the details together.
Yeah, the resolution is very careful to only indicate its support for the program, not any specific agreement or commitment in terms of dealing with the details later. So if you look at it, it's in terms of township would support, would do, but it's not obligated to. So that would all be details down the road. But this protects the position to be able to let it move forward at this point with the funding deadline.
And it estimates about 7 units, so I told you we're lost 9, might be even more. I didn't get a current count as of today. I know this past year we lost at least another one. So we're not actually, in doing this, we wouldn't exceed the original number of affordable units in society.
Are them units available?
Are there units available?
Yeah, besides our 2 units.
There are. The focus would be on people that have the affordable housing units right now. They can't sell them under the requirements of COA because COA wants them to sell for around $93,000 and a unit out there is selling for $60,000, $70,000. So in order, it makes no sense. So to try to explain it in this session would just boggle your mind. But the problem is that they cost too much for an affordable housing person to even qualify for, let alone get a mortgage and qualify for in this economy. So there are people that are looking to sell them to someone who would purchase them outside of the program.
And even the ones that we own are substantially greater than market value.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, we've been sitting on these units for 3
One of
years.
them we paid $100,000 almost for,
Right.
because at the peak, COA sets the price that the town is allowed to purchase them. If a third party wants to purchase them, they can negotiate a price. So what happens is if they sell to a third party, they lose the control and they're gone. So we can't go in and purchase them for more than they're worth. That makes no sense.
Just so the public is aware that the monies that the township pays for these particular units are from our COA fund. That money is put aside for purposes as of this that has to be used in low-income housing or affordable housing or upgrades to existing affordable housing. So it's not money that's coming out of our general budget.
And if we don't spend that money within 4 years,
Right.
the state, it's subject to seizure from the state.
The
So
state's gonna take
trying
it.
to keep the
Yeah.
units and help people in the community.
Some of the people that, in the other 44 units, if they were there for a certain amount of years, does that revert off of there what they have to sell them for?
Not always.
Not always.
It depends on when they purchased them.
But if there's not a blank number of years?
No. It depends. If they were the original purchaser, it could be about 20 years and then their controls are gone. But the second round of purchasers have a looping. It'll automatically renews. So they can't get out of the controls.
Right, but I'm just thinking maybe some of the people that would want to get out, that won't be able to get out, they could actually help.
Right. I know of at least 2 people that would be interested in selling their units because they can't get out otherwise.
Okay.
Don't we have a couple vacant units also still?
2 that the township owns that we would consider putting into this program.
If we enter into this agreement, these qualify for our COA credits can be applied to this, correct?
Absolutely.
That's good.
They would not, we
So
wouldn't do it
they're gonna manage
otherwise.
those properties for us, and we're gonna have to watch, which is great, because we're
Right.
sitting on properties now that are vacant, and we're having trouble finding somebody just to fill those couple units that we have left.
Right. And so working with the neighborhood preservation program would offset the additional cost to run the program. We would supplement some of it, if depending on the details, through the trust fund dollars, and it would be a good program overall.
Certainly, we've discussed before my thoughts on COA and how your plan can avoid building low-income housing, rather utilizing existing housing in the township to satisfy the total requirements. This proposal seems consistent with that, and the leadership you've displayed in pushing forward those programs in the township the last couple of years.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is, and it's a way to keep people in town, in units that are suitable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments besides what we already heard on 200-13?
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. See, wrong page.
2006,
Oh, we can do 13 too. Right. Yes. Got it.
As part of the program, if there's any modifications or improvements needed, that's what the funding for. They would provide that improvement. It would be dishwasher, stove, carpeting, that would all be fixed up for them to just be going in.
Yeah, I believe we had a case last year where the house had to be retrofitted for handicap accessibility. Is that not correct? So those situations arise as well.
Did that answer your question, man? Have any other questions or comments? Hearing none.
I think need a motion.
What's that? I have a motion?
Motion to move 206-13.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bassford is absent. Mr. Coppola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
Okay, now we want to go to
213.
200-13.
Yep.
Which is authorized the use of performance guarantee for Rockport Homes.
Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, just to clarify, the dollar amount on the resolution is $2,872.50. On the letter attached from the engineer, I don't see that amount. I see 15% of 4608, which is 691. Which figure is?
Because what's happening is there was a certain amount of money that's in, and they're going to be taking the money that they have to put into the maintenance, and we're subtracting it out and everything like that. So the $2,872.50 is the amount that's left over after they have everything else,
Okay.
their bills paid and their maintenance guarantee and everything put in. This is actually the amount that they'll clear.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on 200-13?
Motion we move 200-14.
Second. Roll call?
Mr. Bassford's absent. Mr. Coppola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
Now that means that you have 201, 202, 203, 205, and the 2 raffle licenses
Correct.
left.
Is everybody good with them? Have any other questions or comments regarding any of the other outstanding resolutions?
Okay, Mr. Gorman, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bassford is absent. Mr. Coppola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes. Arch, manager report.
I have a question for council in the sense of, last year, we attempted to auction off a liquor license, a retail license, and we didn't receive any bids. Does council wish to move forward with attempting to do that again this
Hurt
year?
to do it, absolutely. We can do it.
Better than sitting in a drawer.
Absolutely.
Okay, what minimum bid do we want to go with?
Last year, we did for the distribution, was it 325 or 350?
It was like 250.
Well, I'm sorry?
250. Was it 350?
Yeah, for the distribution, there was,
And I know the gentleman that came and spoke said that he was thinking 150,000 would be what.
Unreasonable.
the last one I think went for 435 or,
Was there any other interest expressed from anybody or any other?
No, everybody who's shown any interest, they wanted at rock bottom 150, and if
economic development is starting to come back slowly but surely. I don't think the township should give it away. I mean, I don't mind helping somebody out to bring a project to Galloway Township, but I think that's just too low.
Arch, if we were to go back out at something like 350 and be unsuccessful again, how long do we have to wait?
So we can keep advertising until,
yeah.
yeah. The reality is the market is not
Is
there.
everybody
like it
okay
was.
with going back out with
Sure,
another
absolutely.
350 minimum bid?
Yeah.
I think you're wasting time at
Yeah,
350.
I think,
I think you're
I
wasting
agree with
time.
Arch that we're wasting
What
our
are you
time.
thinking, Arch?
I mean, looking at some discussions on some of just the retail consumption, and I mean, liquor license, especially the retail ones, just don't sell like they used to because the profit margins are just not there
With the discount place.
with the discount places and you know, so being so close. Understanding if someone's going to come in and buy a license and set up a business, they're besides the $200,000 for the license, they're gonna have to put another anywhere from $750 to $1.5 million into a building, depending on where it is, rentals, so forth. What?
No, just keep your mouth shut. That's what you do. That's what you were
I'll be sitting here.
You tell me. The last one sold in Northfield a year and a half ago for $650,000.
Okay, that's Northfield.
I understand that, but I'm not going to give it away.
That was the only one, right?
Huh?
That was the only
Of
retail
course,
license.
in Northfield, that's the last one that we have, I think, until population comes
Okay,
in.
Linwood's was the only one.
It was Northfield.
Was it Northfield?
Yeah,
at the,
that's the
plaza?
one that they moved over on Tilton Road. And I think Canals, I believe, the new one that they put over there across from the Home Depot, I believe that license went for $5.25. But I don't mind especially if you bring it out as a minimum bid and it comes out to be a live bid in the courtroom, or a sealed bid, but I don't think in this time, I don't want to give it away. That's my own personal
Well,
opinion.
you always have the right to refuse, to not accept the bid. We could do it as an open bid and do it as a
Yeah,
certain.
but if you set the minimum bid
we
of
said-
150, you're setting it low anyway.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you set it at 200 and you work your way up, and the bid comes in at 250 and council's not happy with that, they have the right to reject.
Except if I can find out a bid close to that number when we start off.
Is there anybody on the line?
That low rate
Well,
minimum.
Well, that's what bids are about, it's competition, and then you get people, that's why you do if you do it as an open, you could create that,
Showed interest.
or you can do it as closed,
But I told him 400.
but if we know at 350.
How low would you go? And actually, if someone came in and offered, would go.
We're all sitting up here. At 325, I definitely wouldn't go a dime lower than 325. I think that's it.
Then we might as well delay it.
Then, well, 325.
But it doesn't cost you nothing to go out. There's a public.
Yeah, it does.
How much does it cost?
We gotta-
Advertising, there's 2 advertisements we have to do. Okay,
There's the
that's real money to me.
Well, I know, but on my personal level, I would do it. If it was me, I would sell it, but I'm not going to give it away. I pay mowers. I got mowers to pay for.
Was that the only bid offer we got, the guy that wanted to give us?
Well, he just came in and discussed with
Yeah.
council after the bid.
The people who are interested don't have a desire to do the bid process. What they would like to do is just come in and offer us what they want to pay.
Let's swing it around on a different hand too, Jim. I don't want to turn around and sell a distribution license, okay? And have it go into a 2,000 square foot outlet store somewhere that is not doing anything for the Galloway Council economy. If somebody's going to pay for that license, keep numbers and names out of it, but there's one which across the street from here that went for like $450. There was another one that is over in the Smithville section that went for over, I believe, $400.
And I agree with you. And the time when we bid it,
Somebody's going to convert a house, and they're going to convert a house
the
and
last
have a
time,
distribution license.
the economy was at its worst point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And